I was talking to a close friend of mine who was a committee man at Melbourne for a while, and he was working out how much money it had cost him to be on the committee. You've been, 12 years? What's it cost you?
I've been 14 years on the board, but 12 as president. I wouldn't know what it's cost me. It's been whatever it's cost, it's been a hell of a good investment. I've loved it. It's been a great ride, Neil, seriously.
Why?
Because I love Geelong. I love the footy club. When I was a kid at school, the football club was everything. It was the soul and spirit of our city, and even more so today than it was back then. And I, like the rest of the kids in my class, would have paid money out of our wages for the right to play for Geelong. But I was too slow. I would never have made the AFL level.
Well, where's footy going? You've been deeply involved with the AFL for all that, for the 12 years as president, at least, if not the time of the committee. Are you happy with the direction it's taken?
Yes, I am. I think one of the things that really pleases me about football is the realisation that we are a very big part of the community. We need the community to support us, for us to grow and survive. So therefore we have a responsibility to put back into the community. And what I found in Geelong, I think it's mirrored with the other clubs now too, the more we put into the community, and our boys do over 800 community appearances a year, going to schools to talk to kids, going to hospitals or to charity functions and what have you, the more we put in, the more that comes back to us. It's a two-way street. So I think that football, the AFL in particular, have realised that, and what they're doing now community-wise makes me feel pretty proud to be part of it.
They're doing a lot for social change on issues of drugs, racism, sexism, the treatment of women, all those sort of things. Is that the role of footy? Yeah? Puts a lot of pressure on the players.
I think it's part of it because the players are such strong role models to kids, and it needs to be a role model that's going to help kids to get a different direction, a stronger, more purposeful direction in their life. I've always said if you come to a Geelong school and you got the Prime Minister of the country or the Premier of Victoria up one end of the quadrangle, and you put a champion Geelong footballer up the other end, and you give the kids the choice who they want to go and listen to, 98% would go up and listen to the footballer. That, you can say that that's crazy, but it's a fact. So if that footballer leads a really good life and by example gives to those kids the right direction in life for them, I think it works. One of the things the AFL is doing at the moment that's probably not very well known, it was mentioned at the Most Valuable Player Awards the other night, is this ladder program that the past players, the Players Association started themselves, and that's addressing the homeless situation in Melbourne. And they're making really good progress with that. They're raising the funds, they're putting together the structure to really make it work, and they're taking kids that otherwise would be lost onto the scrap heap of life back into education and hopefully getting into good jobs and employment and finding a home for them, which I think is a tremendous...
It puts a norm... as you know, we tend to forget because we see the players out in the middle doing all these startling things. They're kids.
No, they're only boys.
They're only boys, and even if they're in their 20s, they're pretty young. It's putting a lot of pressure on them to ask them to play this role. Is that fair?
Well, it is fair now because what we're doing is really putting a development program together as they come. It is a huge responsibility for clubs to take these boys away from their homes, often over 1,000 kilometres away, could be 2 states away, and they leave home and they come into the city. They're idolised straight away by everybody because they're wearing an AFL jumper. The nightclubs try to attract them in. They give them wads of drink cards to get the heroes in. They get all the boys and girls in. That's a big thing for these kids to be able to cope with when they've come from so far away. What we do now, and I'm sure the other clubs are mirroring what we do, we don't let them go on board in a boarding house or a house together with 3 kids. We put them into private homes with really good responsible mums and dads whose children have grown up to a level but love the footy and the footy club. And they take them in for at least 12 months, if not 2 years. We have a terrific man called Ron White as our development officer, former school teacher and coach. He works with the boys. We get them into education straight away, either at Deakin University or at TAFE with the Gordon Institute. The odd one that will not go back to school again, we get them into a part-time role, either in the building industry or something that they might think they'd like to do after football. We try to explain to these boys that footy might only last 2 years, could last 5. If you're lucky, it might last 10 or 12. So you've got to be prepared for something else. So that program, and then we get them into different groups of players, which we call our leadership program, encouraging them about doing good things in the community for themselves, and the boys then develop much more quickly than they would otherwise. And what we're seeing at Geelong, particularly since we brought that leadership program in at the end of 2006, with leading teams helping us do that, we've seen these boys grow and mature very, very quickly.
Which is good for as players as well. You've been through some tough times there. What was the toughest?
The toughest was very early at the start. When we first put a board together, unfortunately, the members voted us all in, the group that we wanted together, so we'd have unity, we had to find really good management. And to get Brian Cook wasn't easy, but we did get Brian Cook because he, as well as having all the skills necessary for the job, a good commercial brain, but as well as understanding football, he had really good personal values. That helped us attract really good people to the club. So that first year was tough because we lost $1 million in that first year in the clean-up. We were so far behind, we were trading insolvent that we really shouldn't have been operating. And, well, the last 11 years have all been profits, been fantastic. But that first year was really hard. Convincing people to stick with us, going to Ford Motor Company and asking them to pay.
Did you ever think you'd go on?
Advance. No, I didn't. I'm a bit funny that way. I just felt because it was such a wonderful organisation as an instrumentality of the Geelong Football Club, that given good management, I reckon we'd pull through, which we did.
Well, now you're stepping down, you don't have to worry about the AFL rules. Did the umpire rob you on Friday night?
No, I don't think so. No. Where we were a bit upset, of course, was it was such, what would you call an intangible, whether or not he was in the back or whether he was going sideways and the bloke fell forward. And there was other incidents during the game that had not been paid. However, it was our fault we were in that position.
And
we played poorly in the first half, Neil. We shouldn't have been in that position at all.
And the speculation is all you could lose Gary Ablett to the Gold Coast Suns. Is the AFL looking after the Gold Coast Suns too much?
I don't think so, because I was a member of the audience, if you like, years ago when we played the Brisbane Bears at Carrara. We still hold the record score, 37 goals something. It was a tragedy. And if you were trying to get a club up from the ground and getting thrashed like that, I think Ablett kicked 11 that day against Gary Ablett Senior. Billy Brown has kicked about 7 or 8. It was just a nonsense.
So do you think you'll lose young Gary Jr.?
I don't think so. Personally, I'll be quite honest with you, Neil. I think the reasons for him staying at Geelong are greater than what the benefits going away would be.